loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. I can get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen I'ma production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. I can get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. I can get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, listen, beloveds, I apologize sincerely for having you waiting so long. I do apologize, okay? But I had some more receipts and I decided to add those rather than doing a whole nother video. I added some receipts and removed some. Some I decided I'll talk about later, and then some I decided I'll talk about now. I'm sorry, okay? I was confused. Okay, I couldn't get it all together. It's just too much. And also I had to pull myself together because some of this stuff is so sick and low vibrational. It is really taxing on the mind frame, okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, so anyway, I hope nobody's too mad, okay? I know how y'all get sometimes. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it, beloveds. Hello, Leon. Vince, I am from the UK. Barillas is here. All right, Juju B, Edward. All right, let's get into it. Chris B. The lovely T is here. All right. So shout out to all of my loyal roads and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, Peaceful Living is here. All right. Love Christy. So that all being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Okay, and shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Now, also, let me just say this. Y'all know, some of you who've been here following me forever, you know that I've been talking about this stuff. This is all nothing new to you or me, because I have been talking about this stuff. And like I said, YouTube owes me an apology as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I would never have had to take them to court if they had not been trying to silence the truth years ago. And now, here the truth comes right back at us again. And this is all stuff that I told y'all 6 years ago, at least. Okay, and I'm going to show you some of my old footage today just to refresh your memories. Now, with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get into it. So one of the things that I spoke to you all about years ago that is just like the Epstein files, it's all connected, was the McMartin preschool incident, okay, that happened in the 80s. I told you all about that in case you forgot. Let's talk about it. So the McMartin preschool incident, often called the McMartin preschool trial, was one of the most notorious and controversial criminal cases in U.S. history. And most people don't even know about it. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, this is what they brought up in the U.S. in the 1980s. They called they called it the satanic panic. Okay, they basically tried to act like people are just making up stuff, saying all this stuff about demon worship, devil worship, and that people are just coming up with stories because they've been given fake news or heard things that weren't true. And so, they tried to make it as if all of this stuff was just from some sort of mass hysteria. Okay. Now, hold on just a second. Now, I'm looking up what they basically say about the satanic panic. Okay, so I'll give you all the right information. The 1980s satanic panic was a widespread moral panic, primarily in the United States, characterized by irrational fears. Irrational. They said it wasn't rational. Please pay attention. Okay, and unfounded allegations of organized ritualistic abuse of children by satanic cults. This is what they did. They have been doing this forever. This is nothing new. Let me just put this on the screen. Okay, they talked about satanic panic. That was just something they made up. Okay, that's something they made up to dismiss these people and make it look like they were all liars and crazy, like I said. Okay, goes on to say, fueled by media sensationalism and flawed, often coerced testimonies, it led to false accusations, ruined lives, and unjustified criminal investigations, such as the McMartin preschool trial. This is all a load of BS. Okay, those people did exactly, in my opinion, what they were accused of. Okay? Now, nature of the panic, a moral panic driven by fear that daycare, schools, and communities were infiltrated by devil worshiping pedophile rings. Yes. Yeah, I do believe that. Yes, I absolutely do. And I've told you all before that these people who are freaks, perverts, and pedophiles, they get jobs and careers where they're close in proximity to people's children. What kind of jobs did I tell you they get? I told you they work at daycares, they become school teachers, camp counselors, and so on and so forth. Because this is what my professor told me when I was in college, when we were talking about this very same type of stuff. Now, basis of claims, allegations were largely based on false memories. This is what they say. You didn't really remember what you thought you remembered? Hearsay and sensationalistic media, often involving unsubstantiated claims of abuse in daycare centers. It caused intense paranoia among parents, leading to a hypervigilance and wrongful accusations against teachers and caregivers. Many incidents were later understood to be fabricated, with the accusations sometimes masking other issues like familial abuse or psychological problems. Okay, let's just say it all was fake. Why are people still making up the same fake stories decades later? Okay, why are people still making up the same fake stories decades later? Now, at the end of the day, I'm going to show you some information. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I don't want you to listen to what I say about, these things. Listen to your spirit. Listen to your intuitiveness. Okay, look at the evidence. Look at what I'm showing you and tell me what you think. Do you agree that these things are absolutely real and that they absolutely happened, that people lied and covered it all up just like I do? Okay, or what do you have to say about this? And here's the thing. So as far as the McMartin preschool incident, okay, now this happened in Manhattan Beach, California between 1983 and 1990. Staff at the McMartin preschool were accused of ritualistic sexual abuse of children, allegedly involving satanic ceremonies, tunnels, animal sacrifice, and other extreme acts. It began in 1983 when a mother accused a preschool teacher, Ray Bucky, of sexually abusing her son. Police sent a highly suggestive letter to hundreds of parents asking if their children had also been abused. This led to widespread allegations, many emerging after repeated leading interviews of children by therapists. Children, often very young, made claims that included sexual abuse by multiple teachers, secret underground tunnels beneath the school, flying witches, animal sacrifice, and satanic rituals. No physical evidence ever confirmed these claims. No tunnels were found. That's a lie. Okay, medical exams did not support widespread abuse. Stories were often inconsistent and evolved over time. 7 staff members were charged initially. The case became the longest and most expensive criminal trial in U.S. history at that time. After years of proceedings, charges against most defendants were dropped. Ray Bucky was tried twice and acquitted on all counts in 1980. Suggestive and coercive interviewing techniques used on the children is what they alleged. Confirmation bias amongst investigators, media sensationalism, more panic alleged around alleged satanic cults in the 1980s. Okay, the case is now widely cited as a cautionary example of mass hysteria, okay, flawed child interview practices, and prosecutorial overreach. They literally said the same term I just used, mass hysteria. Okay, and in case, let me just pull this up, because what I did was I went to ChatGPT for them to give me a summary of it. Hold on. For ChatGPT to give me a summary of it just now. I literally just did this. Now, with that all being said, I want you to pay attention, because didn't I tell y'all mass hysteria? At the end of the day, false memories and all this BS. But hold on. Let's go to the video that I did 6 years ago. Okay, let's go to that. Because y'all think it's fake. I absolutely don't. I absolutely don't think any of this is fake. Hold on.
Today we pray for the future.
Hold on, beloveds. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh, but while I'm putting up the video, look at this. This is when this black man prayed for Trump, and then they got all upset about it. Basically, because the things that he was saying during the prayer, in my opinion, were things that Trump has absolutely been doing.
Today we pray for the future of this nation, and that you would lead this president into greater levels of compassion for your name's sake. We pray that you would protect him from the iniquities of evil, and that you would give him greater clarity, greater courage, and greater capacity to do what is right in the forever challenges. Today we remind him that the lives of millions of people are in his hands, and that he has the power to turn mourning into dancing, or to reduce the country into a cosmic elegy of chaos and suffering. And it is because of this that we pray that the best of this president would rise among us. For the sake of this nation, for the sake of this world, we pray that goodness and mercy would announce themselves in his life in new and powerful ways. We pray that he would be mindful of the poor, and that he would be invested in the alleviation of suffering happening on farms in the Midwest, in the families preparing to bury their loved ones in Minneapolis. Remind him that we are all Americans, all made in the image of God, and that none of us are free unless all of us have our freedoms protected. Many people are not lazy. Many people are simply tired. Many people simply are not okay. Matthew 25 teaches us that our gifts are given from God, and that we should show them with compassion towards others. But most of all, we pray that you would work out your will in his life. May we all do more for the greater glory of God, because when it's all said and done, we pray as Jesus taught us to pray. We ask that we surrender our all to Jesus. To all hope I give him freely. I will ever love and trust him, and in his life and presence live daily. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen. We are all sinners and we have all fallen short of the glory of God. And this was not criticism, as in trying to point out someone's fault. That would be political. This was simply a solemn petition. This is in the prayer breakfast. Everyone stands in the need of prayer. No one is beyond redemption. No one is beyond God's grace. To be the president, to have the loneliest job in the world, to have the most powerful job with the world's biggest economy, with the world's largest military force. The president stands in need of prayer. This goes back now for 74 years to the Eisenhower administration, where they saw that the president had been isolated. And so I've seen mercy, I've seen compassion from President Trump. He has pardoned people that were given life sentences in jail. He has done some remarkable things. I serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I serve on the Agricultural Committee. I serve on two of the largest committees that impact the most people across this nation daily in food, service, and assistance, and in the world's economy with tariffs. So I hear people's pain every day. So I was just trying to simply, to the president's better nature, higher nature, I think he has some awful advisors around him in the Secretary of Defense and Pete Hegseth, and that of Kristi Noem, and that of Steve Miller. If he could purge and clear out his cabinet, I think we could see a brighter day. So it was a petition for the goodness and for hope. My father's oftentimes said, keep hope alive. So this was a petition. This was a solemn prayer. This was not a criticism of the president.
What do you say? It's not a criticism. It was, as you say, a kind of exhortation to the president to show greater capacity to do what is right, which is, I mean, some people might say sort of implicit criticism at least. Was there any sense of sort of disapproval from the president behind you?
Well, listen here. I could go down the line. We are co-equal branches of government. I would have given that same prayer to the Speaker of the House to do his job. I would have given the same prayer. The Speaker of the House could have curtailed many of these actions. This is not a kingdom. This is a democracy, and the president, he does have brakes on him. But the Speaker of the House, our legislative branch, has not stepped up. People oftentimes ask, how can one person be that powerful? Because the Speaker of the House has not done his job. I'd be much more critical of the person that I have a working relationship with, and that Speaker Mike Johnson, for not reining in the president. You can't change the name of the Kennedy Center. You just can't impose tariffs on other nations. That's the role of the United States Congress. And so that's very clearly laid out. So I would ask the Speaker of the House to do his job.
Congressman, your father's a well-known civil rights activist, your godfather as well. I mean, what do you make of the direction of travel in terms of democracy? How worried are you by an American president who talks about nationalising democracy and whose key lieutenant, Steve Bannon, talks about surrounding polling stations with ICE agents? Should we be worried about the direction of travel with American democracy at the moment?
I certainly would be. This is the little hole in the inner tube. You can start seeing the air come out. You're seeing our streets becoming militarized. This is against the Posse Comitatus Act. You're not supposed to have U.S. soldiers on U.S. soil going against U.S. citizens. That's simply wrong. And someone has to tell the president this is going in the wrong direction. We have 50 state elections on our federal election day for our 537 federally elected officials. That way it's not tampered with, it's tamper-proof. We don't need to have one private company that's dealing with all the ballot machines and one private company that's tabulating all the materials. This is why the system is rather foolproof. And so I think that back to one other point on the religious part, the words of the scripture should comfort the disturbed and disturb those that are too comfortable in high places. And so if you're uncomfortable, maybe that's a good thing. That's the purpose of us going to a church on Sunday, that we ask for the good Lord to intervene and give us some intercession and raise us, exalt us to a higher purpose in life.
Okay, y'all heard that. That was Representative Jonathan Jackson, Jesse Jackson's son, no less. Okay, so what do y'all think? You see, here's what I think. When he was saying that prayer, he was calling out things that are being done that shouldn't be done, and maybe you can fix those things or do better. In so many words is what he was saying. But with that all being said, why would Trump or anyone else think that he was just being nefarious for saying those things? Why would they think that he was wrong for saying those, calling out certain things? Hit dogs holler. Okay, that's why. Please pay attention. At the end of the day, Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Okay? It's not the cabinet that needs to be gotten rid of. It's him and the cabinet. Okay, it's amazing that he thinks the cabinet is the problem, but not Trump. Did he not read the Epstein files? I have several questions. Okay, but let's go to the old video that I did about the McMartin preschool.
360 children described ritual abuse through secret tunnels, and after everyone was acquitted, archaeologists found the tunnels. In 1983, children at McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach made allegations, not vague claims. 360 children, consistent descriptions, taken through underground passages to hidden rooms, photographed, rituals, multiple perpetrators, medical evidence documented abuse, 7-year trial, longest in U.S. history, all defendants acquitted. Media declared it satanic panic, proof children fabricate abuse through suggestion. Then archaeologist E. Gary Stickle excavated the demolished site. He found hand-dug tunnel systems beneath the preschool, entrance points where children described them, exit locations matching testimony. He published his findings, but McMartin remained the definitive false allegation case, which raises one question. If children fabricated the tunnels through suggestion, why did archaeologists find them exactly where children said they'd be?
Arrested and charged with more than 300 counts of molestation conspiracy. And by the end of the preliminary trial hearing, charges had been dropped against 5 of them. The ensuing trial of McMartin's owner, Peggy McMartin Bucky, and her son, Ray Bucky, would last for nearly 3 years. A jury found the mother and son not guilty of 52 counts of child molestation, but remained deadlocked on 12 molestation charges against Ray Bucky, as well as a single count of conspiracy against Ray and Peggy, according to the AP News. Now, the case cost $15 million to prosecute, according to the Los Angeles Times. Neither Ray nor Peggy were ultimately convicted of any crime. There were 8 key players in the McMartin family preschool's trial. The first accuser, Judy Johnson, went to the Manhattan Beach police and claimed that her 2.5-year-old son had been sexually abused by Ray Bucky, which led to the criminal investigation of McMartin Preschool. Johnson had made bizarre claims, says that Ray flew in the air and Peggy McMartin Bucky drilled holes in her son's armpits, according to the New York Times. Drilled holes in his armpits? What kind of sick people are these? Well, I got abused in the daycare. It was in the 80s. Wow. Sorry to hear that, J Love. That's awful. Do you remember the Bernardo Homolka case? No, I never heard of that water sniper. I'll have to look it up. Oh, this is all so crazy. Okay, let me continue. On Vince I Am says, Queen, you've come a long way, beloved, despite the wiggetry nonsense coming for you. Vince I Am, you are so nefarious. But thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. I'm glad I came a long way. Okay. Now, hold on. Where was I at? Okay, yeah. She says that Peggy McMartin Bucky drilled holes in her son's armpits, according to the New York Times. Now, Johnson would later claim that her dog had been sodomized and her estranged husband molested one of their children, according to the Washington Post. Remember, I keep telling you guys, these pedophiles, sick. We must rescue our children's future through separation from the demons who permit these rings to go on. Yes, Enrico, absolutely. The elite, rich, wealthy deviants. Now, in 1986, before the trial began, she died of fatty metamorphosis of the liver associated with alcoholism, according to the New York Times. Then you have the second player, which was Raymond Bucky. Now, following Judy Johnson's initial complaint, police arrested Ray Bucky on September the 7th, 1983, but he was released on the same day due to a lack of evidence, according to the Washington Post. He was later indicted and arrested in March of 1984. Along with his grandmother, Virginia McMartin. Also arrested were Bucky's mother and his sister, Peggy Ann McMartin, and several co-workers who were charged with a combined 115 counts, later increased to 321. According to the New York Times, Bucky would spend the next 5 years in jail before being released in 1989 on a $1.5 million bond. In January of 1990, Bucky was acquitted on most of the charges, with the jury deadlocked on another 13 counts, according to the Washington Post. He was retired later that year, resulting in a mistrial and other charges being dismissed, according to the Los Angeles Times. After the trial, Bucky attended law school. You heard this? Now this is privilege, honey, at its finest. You're charged with all these 300 plus counts of pedophilia, conspiracy, and all of that. And he goes on to go to law school. Yes, it happens, people, in the divided snakes of America. So he later attended law school, reported the Los Angeles Times. He later changed his name. Changed his name, people, okay? Pay attention. He later changed his name and relocated to the Northwest, where he lives with his wife and son, according to Uncovered, the McMartin family trials that premiered on Oxygen Channel on July the 27th in August. I'm sorry, in July on Oxygen. Isn't that crazy? Madness, yes, there's no limit to the madness. Wow, absolutely, Pamela. How sick and demented. These people did all of this. And let me tell you something. Now, you notice they said that his mother, his grandmother, him, and his sister were all named. And they all got off. This family had money, right? But here's the thing. I want you to pay attention. Now, you ask yourself, why would all of these people in his family be involved in this? They were likely witches, okay? Remember that lady that I told you all that I spoke to who said that she grew up in a family of witches and that, in fact, they pass it on to the next generation? And it goes on and on and on. And she said there's thousands of them in the United States alone. These people are in covens of witches. They have satanic rituals. They cast all types of spells. They commit satanic, and ritualistic murders, sacrifices of animals and children. And they drink blood and all of these things. She said it. And it's throughout the family. Many of the family members are involved. That would be why the entire family was in on molesting these children. Because this is all a part of it. You know the God that they worship, Baphomet. That is a god of sexual confusion. Which is why when you look at the Illuminati, which that's what we call them, the Illuminati in Hollywood, but they call themselves the initiates or the initiated because they have to be inducted into the society. They have to be initiated in to get in, right? So, but they do all of these same things, okay? They have these same type of rituals. They do all of these same things that these people are talking about. It's all so sick and disgusting, right? It is sick and disgusting. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention. This I am said, wigs, pay attention. The past queen and the present queen are consistent with them receipts. Thank you, beloved. Roddy says, Queen, that background is nice in the video. That's not a background. That's my house. Okay, thank you. All right. That's my house, beloved. Okay, so that all being said. And also, if you look at my TikToks recently, it's the same background. So, okay, that's just my house. Now, Cyrus says, wow, didn't know all that, Queen. Yes, absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Okay. Barilla said, what about the future, Queen? Barillas, please sit down. Beloved, y'all have to give me time. Sometimes it takes me a week to get these things together, okay? Some of the stuff that I want to show you all. But here's the thing. I came up with a very crafty way. I told you I was trying to figure out how I can tell you all that information. I'm going to make a song about it. That's the way I'm going to give you all the information. Okay, it's going to be a song. Please pay attention. Okay, and I came up with that because someone else did a song spilling the tea. And I said, hey, that's a good idea. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so just hold tight. Now, with that all being said, the reason it took me a minute to get in here, like I said, was because I had some information about Michael Jackson that I was going to do tomorrow or whenever, but I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and do this today. And so let's talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. with that being said, let's go to this. Let's talk about the whistleblower. Hold on. No, here's what we're going to do. Now, Cyrus said a rap song? Honey, any kind of song to tell you all what's going down, okay? You'll be able to get the gist of what it is, what I'm talking about. Okay, so with that all being said, Hummingbird said Salem witch trials was real. Okay, I mean that's what it's given, right? Um, with that all being said, last month a white dude got prison time for grave robbing, had skeletons in his house, artificial hearts, dolls, and infants in a two-story house called a lone wolf. Yeah, you know you have to be careful, beloveds, when they talk about lone wolves. Okay, you have to be very careful when they talk about lone wolves. Because it's usually not a lone wolf, is all I'm saying. It's usually a whole network or underground people. Danger says, Queen be holding on to those receipts. Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Okay. Now, with that being said, let's go to my X account where I shared some things and we got to talk about it. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, let me see. What is this? Let me start at the bottom. Hold on. Let me scroll down. Okay, now we're going to go to this TikTok. This is the TikTok I did about those dogs. Yesterday, what I told you all about the dogs and Trump and what Sasha Riley said. For anybody who missed it, this is just a brief recap. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Shakur. Have you all seen those emails talking about puppies coming to an after party, bringing them to an after party? I find it all interesting, especially since William Sasha Riley, also known as Sasha Riley, basically has accused Trump of deleting puppies. Let's get into it. First off, let's not forget that Trump has called people, specifically journalists, reporters, called them nasty names, and sometimes he's called them basically dogs. Okay, and then also let's not forget that Trump doesn't have a dog in the White House. Okay, he's one of 3 presidents that has never had a pet. Okay, please pay attention. Now, you may think that's no big deal, but what about that Mar-a-Lago party that they had where everybody dressed up in costumes of dogs? Okay, dog costumes. Everybody was dressed like a dog. That makes no sense to me. Now, I understand it was for a charity event for the Humane Society, but at the end of the day, why do people need to dress up like dogs? Okay, please make it all make sense. And there was a whole lot of online banter about that because a lot of other people clearly thought that was a bit strange. Okay, please pay attention. In 2018, Trump called Omarosa a dog when he tweeted that the White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, should have absolutely fired that dog, is what he called her. Please pay attention. 2018. In 2015, Ariana Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post, he said about her that she's a dog who wrongfully comments on me. Okay, calling someone else a dog. New York Times columnist Gail Collins once said that Trump sent her a copy of her column with her picture circled and it said face of a dog. And also, there are several other critics that Trump has talked about using negative terms about dogs. Basically, Mitt Romney, Ted Cruz, Mac Miller, the ISIS leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, saying things like choke like a dog, died like a dog, and so on and so forth. Now, my thing is, it seems like he really doesn't like dogs. And if someone really doesn't like dogs, then maybe it would be plausible that they may have deleted dogs, like Sasha Riley alleges. Please pay attention. In the emails, Dataset 10 has an email that says, your puppies will be the belle of the ball. Bring them to the after party. They're invited. All attendees are. They'll have fun there. Okay, please pay attention. Dataset number 11 has an email that says, life's not only a biatch, but it has puppies. Okay, please pay attention. Keep in mind, other countries have actually started a probe into the Epstein files. Okay, France, UK, Poland, I do believe, and even others. With that all being said, I find it interesting that the United States doesn't want to do further investigations and wants to simply just be quiet while this is swept under the rug and we stop speaking about it. And Trump continues to put out other information, in my opinion, to distract us. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is all just sick stuff, okay? At the end of the day, All right. At the end of the day, this is what has been alleged by Trump, and I find it very interesting because he always says negative things about dogs. So when Sasha Riley said that he got there, Trump that is, and accuses Trump of wanting to delete people, and then says they gave him dogs to do that to instead, I absolutely believe it. I absolutely believe it. Okay. At the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, where shall I go next? Okay, so let's go to this clip from Michael Jackson. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to use an overlay on this. Here we go.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil. I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Say it.
So, please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Because the companies take advantage of them. They really do. And Sony, being being the artist that I am, at Sony, I've generated several $1 billion for Sony, several billion, and they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer myself would outthink them.
Yeah.
So we can't let them get away with what they're trying to do because now I'm a free agent. I just owe Sony one more album. It's just a box set, really. It's with 2 new songs, which I've written ages ago. Because every album that I record, I write, like, literally, I'm telling you the truth, I write at least 120 songs every album I do. So I can do the box set, just give them any 2 songs. So I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony. So I own half of Sony's, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know.
Tell him. Say it, Michael. Tell the story.
But so the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album. But I've always said, you know, good art never dies. Thank you. I love Unbreakable. You know, turn that off, please. No what? I don't mind. Tape it.
Oh! Michael is getting gangster today! Yeah.
Mariah Carey, after divorcing Tony, came to me crying. She was crying so bad I had to hold her. And she said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones. And he's very, very evil, and she doesn't trust him. And he is a horrible human being. And we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Oh, there you go.
We can't allow him to do this to great artistry. We just can't. I just want you to know I appreciate everything you've done. You've been amazing. You're so loyal, Diana. Everybody, Waldo, all the people here, I love you all. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
I love you.
Okay, so We already know that Michael Jackson thought Tommy Mottola was the devil, but Michael Jackson also knew some shady things were going on. Okay, Barilla said, people who don't like dogs, I have to give a whole side eye. Right, I do too. Okay, so that being said, let's continue. Because let's talk about why Michael Jackson actually built Neverland. Okay, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. And remember, the feds investigated Michael Jackson for a whole decade and found nothing. But now they're trying to come out and say that Michael Jackson was a part of the files and Michael Jackson did this, that, and the third. And let me tell you all something, what's going on here. It's the same thing that they've done before in the past, how they've gotten rid of victims and how they've gotten away with the allegations against these people that are doing these things by simply putting out fake information. They put out fake information. I want you all to think about it. They did it recently with the people whose name starts with a letter that comes after P. Okay? Those Anon people. Okay? Those people were onto something. They had some of the information right. But then what they did, and by they, I mean the people who, the powers that shouldn't be, they started adding things to the mix to make it all sound crazy, and then also put it in lies so that when they debunk those lies that they already made up and put in there as if they were true, well, then they can try to make the whole thing look like lies and conspiracy theories. See, that's what they do, and that's what they're doing right now. There was a picture posted. I think I have a video that someone did about it, but there was a picture posted of Post Malone. Okay, supposedly doing something nefarious with Epstein or something like that. But then that same picture was posted on, and some of the picture is redacted, but the whole picture is posted on Post Malone's Instagram. I think it was. Okay, he posted it like some years ago. And when you remove, and when you look at the real picture, and then there's nothing really to see. There's nothing really to see, but they make it as if there's something hidden and that Post Malone was doing something nefarious. But then if you go to his Instagram and you see the real post, and you're like, this is lies and BS. That's what they want y'all to think. That's what they want us all to think, that it's lies and BS. So they put out fake stuff. Let me just tell you something. This is in the Bible, and I've told you all this a myriad of times. What does the devil do? What does the devil do? What did I tell you all the devil does? He mixes lies with the truth to confuse you. These people are devils. They are mixing lies with the truth to confuse us. They are putting out fake allegations and accusations that they know are not true. Okay. And then so they can come back and debunk it. Of course they can debunk it because it was never true. And so they want you to think that all of these things or most of these things also are not true. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Yes, Vince, I am. Agent of confusion. Okay? Songwriter Sunny says scorched earth. I just want y'all to pay attention. Now let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, with that all being said, I'm going to pull up this video about Michael Jackson. Here we go. Because y'all need to pay attention to the whole reason why Michael Jackson supposedly built Neverland. Let's not forget that plenty of children in Hollywood said that Michael Jackson was innocent and didn't do anything.
So I think it's time to talk about Neverland Ranch, because so many people keep bringing up Michael Jackson's name as it pertains to the Epstein files. Now, a lot of people are saying that Michael Jackson has been a creep and he's been a weirdo. And that is what people have thought about him for decades, that he was always weird, liking little kids, all these different things. But the evidence shows otherwise. The evidence shows that he has never done anything wrong. In fact, the evidence shows that he created Neverland Ranch as a safe place for kids to go because he knew all of the sinister things that was happening in Hollywood. Perhaps Neverland was a place that the kids can go to be free from the demons at places like Epstein Island. Now, we know Macaulay Culkin, the Home Alone kid, right? He said just now, he came out a couple days ago, I think, and he said that Michael Jackson never did anything to any kid ever at Neverland Ranch. This is somebody who was at Neverland Ranch. And he said Michael Jackson, if anything, just loved them. He loved the kids. And let's not forget that Macaulay Culkin is the same person who said in the interview, said he was better off because kids go through what he went through, but at least he's rich from it. He feels sorry for the kids who go through what he went through and they have nothing from it. Like they have nothing to show for it. He said that the abuse that he suffered is a little bit better because at least at the end of it, he has something to show for it. So this is a kid who has been in the industry and has been through so much. And we know a lot of Macaulay Culkin's history. He's saying that Michael Jackson Neverland Ranch was just a safe. People are saying that Neverland Ranch was created as the opposite, the polar opposite of places like Jeffrey Epstein's Island. And that's exactly what I think. And mind you, I'm not the biggest Michael Jackson fan, but I think the evidence points toward that. But of course, because he's dead, it's easy to throw somebody who's dead under the bus. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with Michael Jackson's name.
I absolutely agree. Okay. I absolutely agree. You could say whatever after someone's dead and they're no longer here to defend themselves. You can dismiss the people that say that they're innocent. You can lie and say that, you know, oh, these people were all paid off, because that's what they did. They said that people were paid off, okay, to defend Michael Jackson.
Jackson saved me from getting on a plane to that tiny island.
Okay, was Michael Jackson actually saving children from Epstein Island? Is that why he built Neverland? I mean, you know, when you think about it, the system completely went against him. They punished him. They flipped the script. They made it appear as if he was the one that was abusing children, when in reality, was Michael Jackson actually protecting them? You know, think about it. Many celebrities, many children celebrities came out and protected and defended Michael Jackson. To me, this is all making sense now, right? Michael has been dead for so long, but it actually makes sense now. So many celebrities supported and backed Michael Jackson. It just makes sense to me. Like, you know, everyone on the street is talking about the fact that Michael Jackson was saying a lot of stuff about the system and trying to save a lot of people. You know, I think Michael was the good guy and he wanted to save humanity. And I'm telling you now, he saw some dark things behind closed doors. I'm going to look into this a lot more. You know, this is a crazy one, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you have any more information on what you guys.
And let me tell you all something. There are some files that I saw late last night. Despicable, disgusting, okay? Absolutely disgusting. And now those files are gone. Those files are gone. They've been removed. Wonder who did that? Anyone venture to guess? Those files are gone. They were just on the DOJ's website. Now they're gone. And the link seems to be broken because I can't even access it. I find it interesting.
Michael Jackson was protecting the kids all along. Now, for the past few days, I've been reading the files, the documents. You know what I'm talking about. Let me just say, some of the things I read, I wish I wouldn't have read it, especially because of the mental images about certain people and what are in those files, but I digress on that. But Michael was taking the kids allegedly to Neverland to protect them against the ones that were accusing him of what they were doing. Let that sink in. Not one moment during any of that Michael nonsense did I feel that he did anything wrong. That was based on intuition. That was based on something here, but he was trying to protect them. And it makes sense. Corey Feldman, Aaron Carter, Macaulay Culkin, multiple other kids were all saying he was innocent, but everyone just said, oh, they've been paid off. And nope, they're lying. They were all protecting him because he was protecting the kids from the people that were accusing him of doing just what they were doing. This is absolutely insane. Like, have you read the files, the documents? We'll call them documents. Have you heard this about Michael? Like, I literally saw an interview with his sister, LaToya, where she said that he told her, I'm afraid they're going to unalive me. And she didn't believe him. These documents are deep, 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 deep. Let me know what you think. Did you read them? Have you heard the story? And like and follow for more, because.
Darn shame. It is a darn shame. And so many people really thought Michael Jackson did something nefarious. Okay, all because of the lies. But hold on. Speaking of lies, let's go to the video where they show the fake video or the fake picture of Post Malone.
I've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, so bear with me. This is an image from the Epstein files. This is right-wing influencer Dan Bilzerian and Post Malone. And you can see here that the two girls are blacked out. Except, here's the real picture that he posted on his social media in 2018. And he even commented on that today. So if they did this on purpose, what does that mean? Well, there's a political. What does that mean? Here's the real picture that he posted on his social media in 2018. And he even commented on.
Now, when you look at the real picture, those women appear to be grown. So why would they block out their faces? To try to make you think that they were underage. And then when you go look at his Instagram and see the real picture, like I told you, you're like, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with this picture. Yeah, exactly. That's what they want you to think. Okay, so they've included some fake stuff in the Epstein files, it seems. So it seems like they put some fake stuff, okay, in the Epstein files, redactions that don't even need to be there, pictures that shouldn't even belong. Post Malone mentioned it, saying every pic I posted on my IG is in the files with girls' faces blacked out. Y'all hear that? This is what Post Malone said. Every pic I posted on my IG is in the files with girls' faces blacked out. Why would they black out their faces? They're grown. And if he had anything to hide, why would he even reply about it?
That today. So if they did this on purpose, what does that mean? Well, there's a political strategy called flooding the zone. It's basically flooding the media with shit to hide the truth. And Trump's former chief political strategist, Steve Bannon, brought this practice to light. It's kind of like when Michael Scott went around and spread a bunch of fake rumors to hide the real rumor so that no one would know what it was. So the purpose of images like this is so that the Epstein files lose credibility. So in light of this, I would take the mention of certain celebrities with a grain of salt for now. And while I don't agree with Dan most of the time, let's see what he's been saying lately. I mean, why would he be a target? Could it be that he turned his back on the regime? All right, guys, I've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
Okay. Muad'Dib says disinformation to hide information. Yes, beloved. Exactly. Okay. Sosa said Queen being shadow banned by YouTube for simply exposing the truth. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I've been telling you all. Y'all know darn well I should have 1 million followers. I don't care what anybody says. I should have 1 million followers. From 6 years ago, all the juicy information I put out with facts and receipts, the deep dive and research. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Now, but pay attention because now they want us to not believe the files. That's what they want us to not do. Oh, but we believe them. Okay, because we're going to keep uncovering stuff like this. See, they don't understand. They don't realize that we're fact checking this. Okay? That's why that guy found it, because we're fact checking stuff. We're not stupid. You're not going to get away with it. We're not going to just let you, run game, put out fake news, and think we're going to fall for the BS. AI videos, Photoshop pictures, blacking out and redacting photos that don't need to be redacted. Yeah, we're on to you. Okay, so they convince us with it. At the end of the day, there's a whole network of us, and we're working and doing our due diligence to bring all of the information out in due time. Now, with that being said, one box says, regardless to some people's weak theories, I think his color and face morphing was the result of a sacrifice, yet he still stayed himself as much as he could. What's the result of a sacrifice? Okay, one box. Thank you for your insight to the topic, your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. I'll have to respectfully disagree. I have done very extensive research, and Michael Jackson had lupus, which is an autoimmune illness. Okay, and when you have one autoimmune illness, it will sometimes trigger another one. So most people, I'm not going to say most, I'll say some people who have autoimmune illnesses tend to have more than one. I know 2 people who got an autoimmune illness and then they ended up with at least 2 or 3. I know 2 people right now. Okay, one of them is my best friend. Okay, and what they call this is, I believe it's called, because I did research when she told me this, I believe they call it polyimmuno something, but it means more than one. Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. Now, let me see what I pull up here. Here it is. Let me just share I'm not going to share my screen because I already got something on the screen, but here's what it says. I typed in, why do people with autoimmune illnesses often have more than one, and what's it called when they do? This is the answer. People with autoimmune illnesses often develop more than one, a phenomenon called polyautoimmunity. Okay, polyautoimmunity, or multiple autoimmune syndrome, known as MAS, when 3 or more are present, because the initial condition signifies a genetically predisposed, already dysfunctional immune system. About 25% of patients with one autoimmune disease will develop another, often due to shared genetic factors, chronic inflammation, or environmental triggers. With that all being said, Michael Jackson had lupus. Okay. One box says, all right, okay. But listen, thank you for your contribution, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So here's the thing. Michael Jackson had lupus. Okay, and I want to say he contracted it, or they figured out he had it around 1979. And then so the lupus triggered the vitiligo, which is also an autoimmune illness. So the lupus he had first caused him to have vitiligo. He really did have vitiligo. I didn't believe it at first either. When he was on that Oprah interview, I'm not going to say I didn't believe it, but I was suspicious. I was like, okay, is he just trying to tell us this because he really wanted to bleach his skin? But no, I did the research. And at the end of the day, I absolutely 100% believe that Michael Jackson, his skin was discolored due to health reasons. Okay. Okay, Queen, didn't know Michael Jackson had lupus. Yeah, a lot of people didn't. Okay, a lot of people didn't know. I wouldn't have known either if I didn't do research. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, let's continue because this is all real crazy. So they put out the fake information to throw us off. Okay, to make us not believe what our eyes have already shown us. But hold on, because Joe Jackson's cousin, Ron Newt, interview where he revealed he declined an offer of $200,000 to lie about his kids being touched by Michael Jackson and to do a TV special with Oprah. Now, here's the thing. I told y'all this 6 years ago too. I told you all this 6 years ago too, because his sons were in a group called the Neutron Boys or something like that. I told you all that information, but let's go to it. Okay. I just find it interesting. D-Rock says vitiligo is in his autopsy. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that, beloved. Now, this is Vlad TV, so I have to definitely use an overlay. Okay. I have to use an overlay, and I'm going to use a serious overlay. Let's use the one of Trump, a picture of Trump with all these girls. And what were they up to? What was he up to with them? This was in the Epstein files.
I said, what I'm here for? I said, I'm here to help Michael. Oh, he said, oh no, we don't. That ain't what we want with you. We heard it that your boy spent nights at the house. We want to know if Michael tampered with him. I just picked him up or touched him in any kind of way. If he did, we got $200,000 for you. I said, huh? I had just got out of prison. I said, man, I can't do that. Can't tell no lie like that. I ain't doing that. He said, you show what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna draw a check up, a contract up, and I'm gonna show you. We're finna give you $200,000.
So they want to pay you $200,000 to say that Michael Jackson molested your kids.
Yeah, just touch him or whatever, man. Right. Touch him or anything.
What would you have done if you found out that Michael Jackson molested your kids?
What you think I would have done? Man, I'm a gangster. Come on, man. Right. It'd have been a problem. Come on.
Right. Well, you told me back when we met up years ago that if that would have happened, you would have killed Michael Jackson.
If he'd have touched my kids?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. But I love Mike, and I know Mike didn't do that, so he didn't have no problem worried about me.
Exactly. But and I remember you had shown me a picture a while back.
Right.
It was your son at Michael Jackson's house wearing his underwear, but that was a personal picture that you took.
I took that picture. They just got out of the swimming pool.
Yeah,
I took that picture.
But they wanted to use that picture as evidence against Michael Jackson.
Right. Yes, they did.
Now, do y'all hear that? He took the picture himself of his son getting out of the pool in his underwear. He took the picture. And they wanted to use that as evidence against Michael Jackson for their lies. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. See, this is the thing. People who went against them either came up deleted or became the accused. Okay, please pay attention.
Yeah. Okay, but you weren't going for
that now.
Okay, and Michael Jackson ended up winning the case.
Yes. And matter of fact, I was on my way down to help him win the case when I got a phone call from Messenger and said, "Oh, we don't need you."
Okay, y'all heard that? Look at Trump. Look at Trump. Now, some of these people look to be adults. From what I mean, I can't see their faces. I mean, but just from, uh, the little bit we can't see, maybe some of them are adults. But these two right here and right here, I'm willing to bet money those are teenagers. And I'm not talking about 18, 17 even. Okay, that's just my opinion. Now, with that all being said, I find it all interesting. And that's the guy right there. So what do y'all have to say about that? What do y'all think? Trying to get people to lie on Michael Jackson. Okay? Trying to get people to just make up stories. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video of a man that I exposed to you all, and his name is Peter Nygaard. He's now in prison. Okay, and I told you all about him and his nefarious girlfriend and what they were doing, and also how they were getting stem cells from Black women's DNA.
Abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as.
Now, let me say something right here to Black women, okay? He's talking about placenta and how it's so rich with stem cells. If you remember, I told you all about 6 years ago as well, that when you go to the hospital and you deliver a baby, how they take your afterbirth, the placenta, okay, to harvest it for stem cells, to use it for things they want to use it for, and they get paid millions of dollars for this, allegedly. Well, you get nothing. You could be some broke single mom who's on welfare or whatever. You don't have a pot to, you know what I'm saying? But they're making millions off of your body parts. That's why I told you all, stop allowing them to do it. You don't have to allow them to do it. Tell them you want to take your placenta with you and dispose of it yourself. Tell them whatever you want to tell them. It's yours. It came from your body. Okay? Please pay attention. But let's continue.
Waste that it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody,
Him.
And it's life for
George Bush.
No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs.
16 to 18-year-olds.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine. I think that was my business anyway.
And notice he slaps him around like a pimp. By the way, you women are like 30. I want 16-year-olds. I mean, folks. And then he did it with a huge medical facility. So understand, we ain't in 2026. We're like in 2050 and vampires run it. These are literal vampires.
And the young girl that is on record that he actually took his own child, he had a child with a 14-year-old, and he was taking the stem cells from that baby. I think they brought it to term maybe 8 months, I believe.
Yeah.
And then started taking the cells right from the baby and injecting it into himself. He personally did it.
Well, that's when they kept it alive, they told. So he's milking the baby.
Yes.
Okay, very disgusting. And I don't even like Alex Jones. But with that all being said, no lies detected. Okay, at the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, here's an Epstein victim, Jessica Lee Collins, in her own words. But before we get into that, Just Anticipate said Daphne Joy came from his camp. Did she? And Lillian X said, why keep parts that come from our body? Because they want the stem cells to keep themselves looking young. They want to drink the blood and all of that stuff. It's all nefarious. That's what they're doing. That's why they want to keep it. And the people at the hospital can take this stuff and sell it to people like him. Who do you think he was working with for him to be able to inject himself with stem cells? Some medical facility had to be working with him, like they said. Okay, this is all sick. It's really starting to make my head hurt. I'm sorry, but this is too much. Okay? It's like overload at this point. I'm sorry, I don't need an overlay. Okay, so let's continue.
I am a real victim of Jeffrey Epstein. The reason you don't see me in the news is because I am a real victim. Real victims are not being represented by attorneys or in the media. I was trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein and Andrew Windsor by Deborah Palfrey, the DC madam. I was a student at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. in 2002. I answered an ad in the city paper. The ad was ambiguous. Deborah was professional. I thought I was going on a real job interview. Instead, I was drugged and raped by Paul Hung. I tried to tell Deborah what happened, but something she said made me realize she knew what happened. At that point, they had my driver's license, and I did not know what to do or where to go for help. At that point, I was driven by Jonathan Luna to the Bethesda Marriott on Pooks Hill, where Jeffrey Epstein and Andrew Windsor drugged and raped me. I have tried to get help. I called the police. I was abducted for 2 weeks. I was moved from Washington, D.C. by Ed Norris, who was the superintendent of the Maryland State Police. He is now an actor on the show The Wire and has a radio show. My name is Jessica Collins. I live in Virginia. Today is September the 3rd, 2019. If anything happens to me, it's because this information is true, and I have a lot more information about who I was trafficked to in the government, people who are in the White House today. If you could redistribute this video, please save it and redistribute it. If anything happens to me, at least I have this out. I have been threatened. My car was disabled by a government employee when the Jeffrey Epstein news broke. I have been without a vehicle for 40 days. I don't know what else to say. Please save this video. Please redistribute it. Please try and spread it. There is no way that this is going to get out there in the media unless we, the American people, do the work. The government is involved, and I was trafficked for nearly 17 years.
17 years. Do y'all hear this? 17 years. And I believe everything she said. But did you all catch that she said that these things were going on with the government, people in government, and people that are in the White House right now? This was 2019. Who was in the White House in 2019? I think we all know who was in the White House in 2019. That's who was in the White House in 2019. Okay? But let's continue. So everybody's lying on him. That's all I'm saying. Okay, Sasha Riley, this lady. Okay, the girl who wrote in her journal. The girl who said that she heard him threaten somebody. The limo driver. All of these people are lying. Excuse me, lying? Yeah, I don't think so. Now let's talk about the Epstein story.
I am a real victim of Jeffrey Epstein.
Math program. Because this is what made me decide or realize that I can just make it into a song, okay? Because that's what they did right here. Please pay attention.
I'm at NYU, dropped out, and then at 21 was hired to teach physics at the most exclusive private school in Manhattan without a degree. The headmaster was Donald Barr, OSS veteran precursor to the CIA, who wrote a novel about elites keeping human humans as sex slaves, and who just happens to be the father of William Barr, the attorney general who would oversee the jail where Epstein died 45 years later. Small world. One of those students at the Dalton School where Epstein taught was the daughter of Bear Stearns CEO Alan Greenberg. Epstein told people that relationship got him his Wall Street job. Fired from teaching for poor performance, hired on Wall Street the next day. At Bear Stearns, he rose from junior floor assistant to advising the bank's wealthiest clients, including Edgar Bronfman, president of Seagram's, who would later co-found something called the Mega Group, along with Leslie Wedner and Ronald Lauder, a secret network of billionaire donors coordinating pro-Israel strategy. He joined the Rockefeller University Board, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations. David Rockefeller personally mentored him. A college dropout from Coney Island, at the table with the man who built the globalist infrastructure. It seems that many were fascinated or impressed by Epstein and his connections, which helped him become even more connected. A defense contractor named Douglas Lee's and Nixon's former Attorney General John Mitchell introduced him to Stephen Hoffenberg, who says Lee's recruited Epstein for British intelligence, and Hoffenberg introduced him to Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, media mogul who sold stolen surveillance software called Promise for the CIA and Mossad, documented intelligence asset whose daughter would move to New York and partner with Epstein. The same year he mysteriously fell off his yacht, 6 heads of Israeli intelligence at his funeral, totally normal for a book publisher. During this same period, Epstein had an Austrian passport with his photo, but a false name and a Saudi address. That's not something you pick up at the post office. That's intelligence tradecraft. One of his clients was Adnan Khashoggi, the middleman, transferring American weapons from Israel to Iran. Iran-Contra, same scandal involving the CIA, same CIA whose precursor employed Donald Barr, same era Bush was running the agency, then the country. And a CIA front airline called Southern Air Transport would later relocate its headquarters to service the brands of Les Werfner, the man who would give Epstein everything. But that's part 2. I'm just curious how a math teacher from Brooklyn ended up with a fake passport, a Rockefeller mentor, a seat at the Trilateral Commission. An intelligence recruitment chain that runs through defense contractors and a former attorney general, and a direct connection to the man who sold spy software for the CIA and Mossad. And I'm curious why, when they finally arrested him, there were 10,000 videos seized and sealed, 6 million pages where they released maybe half, 10 co-conspirators identified, and only one charge. The CIA director who visited his townhouse now controls all the intelligence, and the president who promised to release everything is attacking the congressman who wrote the Transparency Act. I'm just curious if those files stay sealed, not to protect one man's secrets, but to protect the system that created him.
And that's what I've been told you all, that it's all of them. Okay? It's not the left, it's not the right, it's all of them. Okay? They are all in on it at the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, one Mother Nature says MJ had 2nd and 3rd degree burns from the Pepsi commercial of him jumping through the ring of fire along with the vitiligo. Yes, exactly, beloved. He sure did. And thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, that was so smart of her to put that in a song. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, that's exactly what I'm going to do about the information that I had in that dream. Okay? Now, with that all been said, and Robert Maxwell, by the way, of course, we know that's Ghislaine's father. And I told you all how he supposedly died falling off of a yacht, okay, years ago, that I thought was very interesting. Did someone take him out to keep him quiet as well? Likely so, in my opinion. Measurement said, I love this song. You got to put this out, Queen. That's not my song. It's already out, beloved. But that's not my song. That's somebody else's. I'm just playing that to let you hear what she had to say, but also to let you know that's how I'm going to disseminate some of my information. Okay, so with that all been said, is she identified as the real victim? Then I'm under the assumption she's capable of distinguishing if she's identifying as the real victim, then I'm under the assumption she's capable of distinguishing. I don't know what you mean by distinguishing, beloved. I don't know what you're saying. She's capable of distinguishing what? Between the good, the bad, the ugly? What? What are you talking about, beloved? Now, I heard that Michael Jackson's son sold his Sony shares back to them. That's what I heard. He probably did. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, people love money. Okay, and the shares probably weren't doing anything as far as he was concerned for him. He wanted the cash. So, likely exactly what he did. Okay, sad but true, but let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Apologies, folks. I know it's early, but this girl is right on the money, and we are going to from 0 to 100 quickly. I haven't seen this video. Let's get into it.
Epstein was the scandal, that was the bait. Real architects sit on thrones, wear robes, and drink wine while feeding on children's souls in Vatican crypts. Look, let's name what they won't. The 13 bloodlines that run the world aren't who you think. Orsini, Aldo Brandini, Pallavicini, Medici, Breakspear, Farnese, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Warburg, Hanover, Lee, Bruce, Habsburg. These are not old money. They are Baalic, parasitic bloodlines, ritual sorcerers who hijacked empires and installed mind control systems under the illusion of religion, politics, and finance. Where's their origin point? Venice. The Black Venetian nobility ran Babylonian blood cults under Catholic masks. They merged with the Vatican, embedded into the Jesuit priesthood, and exported global slavery through maritime law, trapping you in birth certificates, taxes, and silent contracts with no consent. Venice wasn't a city of romance. It's a sacrificial basin. Why do you think the Pope wears a fish hat? That's not Christian. That's Dagon, a Nephilim water demon. Look, Epstein wasn't a financier. He was a human trafficker for the priest class. He ran blackmail rituals for the elite, orgies timed to celestial gates, using children pre-programmed through MK Ultra satellite nodes. Who funded him? Rothschild-backed banks. He admitted this. Mossad and CIA intelligence mergers. Chabad Lubavitch financiers masked as philanthropists. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell still alive? Because her father, Robert Maxwell, was a triple agent field operator for the Vatican Chabad MI6 Axis. Epstein's Island's temple is a mirror replica of Baal's altars in ancient Tyre. Literally, the owl statues, not for aesthetics, they're invitation gates for entities. Comment, scroll, and I'll send you the full decoded map. Families, cults, islands, bloodlines, oaths, nothing hidden, everything unveiled. Think about it. Why do the Masons care more about rituals than politics? Because politics was just a front. The true power is ritualized trauma. Here's exactly how they move. Jesuits equal infiltration and education. They wrote your textbook, scripted your news, and flipped your morals through semantic inversion. Freemasons equal gatekeeping plus maintenance grid. Lodges are ritual fields, not clubs. The checkerboard floor, it's a dimensional binding grid. Chabad Lubavitch equals economic controllers of AI, neuroscience, and cloning. They bankroll the puppet governments, own biometric patents, and sit on quantum computing boards. All three serve the Black Sun priesthood. Shadow Vatican that answers to no government, no court, no God you were taught about. They install presidents, they run wars for soul harvest, and they script pandemics not just for population control, but for ritual sacrifice and initiation of mass trauma loops. Look, everything you were taught was a ritual veil. They fed on your doubt. They survived by your silence. But you're the anomaly. You remember. Comment, scroll below, and I'll send you the...
Okay, so what do you all think about that? One thing I will say is they definitely like to fearmonger, and they like to do things that'll keep us low vibrational, because they absolutely do feed off of your fear and off of low vibrational things, period. They don't want us to be high vibrational, okay? Please pay attention, all right? And that's why we have things like pandemics and all of that. What is this here? Claims circulate suggesting Jeffrey Epstein may have ties to intelligence or operate as an informant, raising questions about protection, leverage. Okay, let's get into it.
Guys, check this out.
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein was a spy?
I believe very strongly he was a spy, yes.
And who do you think he was working for?
The Israelis. I'm confident it was the Israelis.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein is kind of the stereotypical example that they give you in training for what's called an access agent. This is a different kind of recruit. So, for example, if you're a foreign intelligence service and you want information, like close-in information from a former president, from the CEO of the biggest company in the world, from a member of the British royal family, you're not going to recruit these guys. You're not going to recruit Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Prince Andrew. So you do the next best thing. You recruit somebody who has regular access to them. And that person that you recruit is going to need to make these people feel comfortable and appreciated. And so you give him plenty of money. So he has this house on an island, or he has the whole island. And maybe you bring in young girls, you get them in compromising positions, just in case you need to use what's called compromat, compromising pictures. We know now that Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island had video cameras, hidden video cameras in literally every room, including the bathrooms. Why? Why would he care what was going on unless it was to use that information against people? As I said, only the Israelis and the Russians use extortion as a motivator.
So would they have made Jeffrey Epstein rich?
Yeah.
In order to give him that access?
Yes.
How could they have done that?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, you do. I mean, governments are the only ones really that can launder money unfettered. And you can also do it through real estate, through fine art, and through horses. Those are the three easiest ways to launder money today. Fine art, real estate, and racehorses.
But presumably he would have spoken out at some point, no? He would have said something, or?
No. But it would explain why he got a sweetheart deal in 2006. I mean, this is a guy that's been convicted of child sex crimes. And he gets 6 months of house arrest with an ankle bracelet. And we have mandatory minimums in this country. That's a 5-year mandatory minimum, first offense.
He definitely had some interesting power, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Also nefarious, okay? Think about it. A slap on the wrist for doing something so egregious. Okay, and let's not forget about the whistleblower from Georgia who turned up deceased. This lovely lady here.
And I'm from the state of Georgia in the United States. And thank you for your gracious invitation to join you tonight. And thanks to all of you who have made this incredible World Congress of Families #5 in Amsterdam possible. It's a privilege for me to join you tonight and to be with you in some pro-family policy here. I will share with you on the unlimited power of Child Protective Services. I served in the Georgia State Senate. And after 4 years of viewing the ruthless and unsparing actions of Child Protective Services, also called CPS, which I will use tonight, I wrote a scathing report entitled "The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services." Thank you.
Okay, she lost her Senate seat when she put out that report. I want y'all to pay attention. And then, like I said, she ended up dead, okay? As often, very often people do. But now, before I go to the next video, because I'm about to go ahead and show the last of these receipts so I can get out of here. It's too much to go through all at once, like I keep telling you all. So I'll be back later. But before, well, I'm not going to say I'll be back later. I'll be back in the morning. But here's the thing. Hold on. Let me share my screen because I see one box, I believe it is, said that whole thing about Michael Jackson having vitiligo, said, oh, so that's why you changed the color of your entire skin rather than have spots or something. You said that's a weak theory. Well, it could be a weak theory, beloved. But at the end of the day, if someone has vitiligo, it's up to them to decide how they want to conduct themselves and how they want to try to, look normal. Maybe he thought that made him look more normal, but here's the information right here, honey. Feel free to look it all up. Weak theory or not, this is just the facts. Michael Jackson was diagnosed with both vitiligo and discoid lupus erythematosus, verified by his dermatologist, Dr. Arnold Klein, in the 1980s. And there's also proof and receipts of this. I've seen them, okay? You can look them up yourself to see them. Vitiligo caused significant skin depigmentation, leading him to use makeup and creams to manage the uneven, blotchy skin tone. His autopsy confirmed these conditions. So is the autopsy lying? Stop talking about weak theories, beloved. Diagnosed around 1983 or to 1986, the autoimmune condition caused patches of skin to lose pigment, blah, blah, blah. I must skip past all that. Then it talks about the condition caused inflammation. Okay, the combination of these plus injuries from the 1984 commercial filming scalp burns and scarring contributed to his changing, often misunderstood appearance and the use of the single white glove to cover affected skin. Because before he started bleaching, he was only wearing one glove. Now, y'all thought that was fashion, but Michael was wearing that one glove because the vitiligo was very prominent on his hand. And he was embarrassed, I'm sure. Okay, it hadn't gotten to his face yet. That's why everything else about him was still his own natural color. But he wore that glove because his hand was starting. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, sun sensitivity. Both conditions required him to avoid direct sunlight, explaining his frequent use of umbrellas and protective clothing. These chronic skin conditions caused him significant insecurity, and according to his son, they were a major factor in his life. Can you imagine something like that happening to you, and you just being all messed up in the head or not knowing how to feel about it or whatever? Okay, I think that's exactly what happened. So, at the end of the day, listen, even if Michael Jackson did that for whatever reason, the bottom line is the low down stuff they did to Michael Jackson, and I believe that they actually killed him, just like Dick Gregory told us. So that all been said, that's what we should be focused on, not his skin color, okay, and what he did to himself, because whatever he did to himself, he was still a good person who loved children and tried to save and protect them, so they wouldn't have to endure the things that he himself had to endure. Because don't forget, Michael Jackson was abused, and I'm not talking about by his father beating their behinds to make them work and practice and all that. I'm talking about some of these things in the Epstein files that we're hearing about victims saying. You don't think some of those things happened to Michael Jackson and other young people who were in the industry? Let's not forget, Michael Jackson was like 9 to 11 years old when he first got started. Y'all don't think these things happened to him? I'm pretty sure they did. Okay, but let's continue.
Survived the islands. There's way more than one. I survived Candyland. I survived the islands. There's way more than one. I survived Candyland. And all their vile games. I survived the ritual rings. And I survived at the hands of more men and women than I can count. My name's all over those files. And way more that haven't been released. And I'm still here. I survived the loss of my family, all my friends, my career. I'll survive this loneliness too. Too many have gained off my vulnerability. I don't need to show it to them anymore. And I don't need to be asked if I'm okay. I survived the islands.
Now notice she said islands, plural, and she said there's more than one. I absolutely believe there is, because guess what? Peter Nygaard had an island too, if I'm not mistaken. And Peter Nygaard was also a Jeffrey Epstein associate. Okay? also a Jeffrey Epstein associate. But she mentioned something that many of you've probably never heard of. Let's talk about it. She said Candyland. And then we're going to talk about these designer babies and clones, and then I'm out of here because guess what? I also talked to you all about that too 6 years ago. Now, I didn't talk about designer babies. That's not what I called it, but I did tell you all about the cloning and how they were taking DNA and doing all these nefarious things. And I also told you about something called synthetics, which is what they call it when they were cloning these supposed people. Okay? Now, Candyland. So here's what they say. Candyland and a child trafficking refers to a specific form of labor exploitation, often described as the Candy Cruise scheme, where children are forced to sell candy in public places to generate money for criminal organizations. It is a form of trafficking, not to be confused with the popular children's board game. Traffickers referred to as crew leaders, recruit children, often from low-income areas or schools or homeless shelters, to sell candy, snacks, and magazines door to door in high-traffic areas. These operations often pose as legitimate phony charities, youth clubs against drugs and violence, to deceive the public into buying the items. The money the children collect does not go to them or a charity, but rather to the traffickers, who often have criminal backgrounds and use the funds to fuel criminal enterprises, including drug trafficking. Investigations have linked these crews to gangs such as 9 Trey Bloods, which have used children to sell candy to funnel money into their operations. Children are often driven to affluent neighborhoods, sometimes far from home, and forced to work long hours in unsafe conditions. Now, I find it interesting that they felt the need to bring up 9 Trey Bloods, but not these other people, Jeffrey Epstein people who were doing the same thing, and that's where they learned it from, I'm so sure. Okay. 14 people were charged in a Georgia trafficking ring that recruited children from Atlanta to sell candy, allegedly funneling money to the 9 Trey gang's blood. Okay, DC, Virginia, and Maryland in 2026, investigations identified nonprofit organizations that exploited children, forcing them to sell candy for the personal benefit of the operators. Now, in this one, they say for the operators. This is in DC, Virginia, and Maryland. For the operators, yeah. We know what those operators look like. They look like Jeffrey Epstein, same complexion. Now, Operation Candyland, Arkansas, Kansas. These were separate federal investigations targeting drug trafficking, meth, and Coca-Cola rather than child labor, using the name Candyland. Okay, border smuggling. Cases have involved smugglers using gummy candies laced with drugs to keep children quiet while smuggling them across borders. Okay, so when she's mentioning Candyland, I think that is pretty much what she's talking about. That they were making them, out here having them work for free. Okay, and they're out here collecting donations for a fake charity and all of that. That's what I think they were doing. Now, let's continue. Because here's a picture that I thought was very disturbing. I'm going to share my screen.
Files. Everything I've read. Something about this picture really sticks out to me. This little girl's arms and hands are taped to a desk, and there's a man behind her. I've looked at over 650 photos, and as I go on, they keep getting worse and worse. But there's something about this one. What is this? What was they doing here? Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. Everything that people told us for years is turning out to be true. There's a lot of apologizing, and even from people like me, because I doubted this. I had no idea that the world was this sick and sadistic. We have a problem, one that must be solved. I'm a father. I know a lot of you are mothers and fathers. This is something we can't allow. We need to make a plan. And whatever we do, we need to do it fast. This is a real person here. This ain't no joke. This ain't no movie. This ain't no show. This ain't the news. This is 2 people talking about stuff like this happening. And people using children for gratification.
Okay, we all should be at a loss for words as far as I'm concerned, sir. Now, Roddy said he's lying. He did have an idea. Roddy, how are you going to say that man did have an idea? Okay, just because you had an idea, okay, because you've seen certain information, some people have no idea. Some people have no idea of the sick things that some people are capable of, and that's just a fact. Okay, be glad that you have an idea or that you knew about these things because some people are caught off guard. They had no idea, and that's just a fact. Okay, I've talked to some of these people who had no idea. All right, and I had to show them receipts because it sounded crazy to them and unfathomable.
Discusses giving people supernatural abilities through psychological stress, cloning people, and even designer babies, whatever that's supposed to mean. Let's start at the bottom here. This person named Gino Yu emails Epstein. He says, I'm in Paris and was about to write you and it popped up. She's a classic stage 3 in the model. Outlier who is intelligent, was traumatized when she was young, SA, and now gradually coming into her own and becoming self-realized. Starting to develop special abilities. This trip, we found a lot more stories like this, though she is more on the extreme side given her biographical history. Epstein responds asking what prompted his email. Then this guy goes on to say the caravan trip has been really wonderful in meeting people that are stage 3. These are people who are developing a different perspective of reality and discovering the gifts they have. He goes on to say, I understand that you were not happy with the results of the Cuba conference that you funded, but I feel like the work is very important toward helping people identify and recognize the gifts that they have, which may not be accepted or well understood by society today. He concludes saying new models are also possible, such as the alternative paradigms group are finding their way, new forms of knowing without knowing how one knows. And in this one, somebody named Brian Bishop emailed Epstein saying, attached is the document you requested. It's the use of fund spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of the self-funded garage biology phase and the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibility of a human clone within 5 years. I pulled these emails directly from the DOJ's website. They are 100% legitimate. This kind of reminds me of government projects like MK Ultra, for example, but they're not the exact same. However, the framework is kind of similar. Trauma, altered states of consciousness, reframing somebody's identity, and pushing the limits of what we think is possible. The Epstein files just keep getting stranger. In these emails, he discusses giving people supernatural abilities.
Trying to get or create people with supernatural abilities. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Now, here's another video about the same thing. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And pay attention. He talked about a man by the name of Brian Bishop. We're going to talk about him.
It literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating designer babies. I really want to know why we haven't heard the DOJ talk about this, especially since some of the survivors said that this happened to them in Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico property, Zorro Ranch. How I found out that he was working with another person to create these designer babies is because I saw him ordering a lot of 23andMe kits and he was sending them to a lot of different people as gifts. In this email, he was sending some to Woody Allen and his adopted daughter at one point in time, who is now his wife. And I started to see a lot of emails in the Epstein files of people saying that they were pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein or even alluding that he had actual children. Like this email in 2011 to Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to be from Sarah Ferguson. And it said, you have disappeared. I didn't even know you were having a baby. It's so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew. And that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Congratulations on your baby boy. And this email in 2006 from Glenn Dubin to Jeffrey Epstein. I get pictures of you flying over Mount Fiji, and I have to find out from Bagazi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP. And Glenn Dubin says, test tube babies, just thinking. Started looking up the term babies in the Epstein files, and this is when I came across this. It was titled Designer Babies in August of 2018, and he has it on like an agenda. Then I found this email, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's Designer Babies / Brian Bishop. So I looked up who Brian Bishop was because I was like, why are they saying designer babies? And it says, Brian Bishop is a software engineer and a biohacker who gained attention for his attempts to fund and advance a do-it-yourself or DIY designer baby project using Bitcoin. His project aimed to utilize the CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits, such as increased muscle mass or improved memory. And this is the next email I found about designer babies, and it's from Brian Bishops to Jeffrey Epstein. And it says, here is a deck about my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this and what are the ground rules for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps. Most of these questions are around your requirements for secrecy, privacy, and specifically regarding reputational risk and also any financial involvement. I think there would also need to be some understanding about goals and feasibility of different results. I think one way this could be done is under the banner of My Designer Baby Project, since the other deliverable is similar and shares so many of the same procedures and lab requirements. This might offer a level of deniability. I propose another call on Monday in the afternoon to discuss these issues. So it sounds like they were going to create a very similar thing to Designer Babies Project that was going to be a little bit different, and it gets a little bit more into it here in a second. 2 days later, he sends another email to Jeffrey Epstein that says, sounds like you could be the first investor as long as an absolute anonymity is kept. I have always envisioned there would be anonymity requirements about babies. We cannot publicly identify who these are or their parents. Would brand the child as a freak for life in the media. So I've always assumed that the investor would need absolute anonymity for these kinds of products. Then literally 2 weeks later, there is another email sent to Jeffrey Epstein from Brian Bishops, where he said, attached is the doc you requested. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. If you've heard about Zorro Ranch and the allegations, you would have heard that Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly doing this, making and creating these babies with some type of cloning. Then Brian Bishop says, this gets us out of self-funded garage biology, phase to the first live birth of human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again, much less the future of the human species. And he's talking about how much it's going to cost. The attached doc shows $1.7 million a year for up to 5 years, $1 million for the lab setup, $9.5 million to fund for 5 years, $6 million for 3 years. After those emails, there's no detailed emails like those ones that come out between Brian and Jeffrey Epstein. It's basically just like, let's meet here, call me on the phone, things like that. Then a few months later, Jeffrey Epstein sends this email to Steve Bannon, which is the gene editing of babies. And as you can see, it's a sciencemag.org article. It literally went to this article and it can no longer be found. Then literally just a couple days.
Hold on. Hold on, beloved. I didn't mean to do that. Oh my gosh. I hate when I do that. I was all into it. I was literally all into it and clicked on the wrong thing accidentally. I had my finger on it. Hold on. Let me go right back. This is all so interesting. But I've told you all a lot of this stuff like I told you. Scroll back just a little bit.
The sciencemag.org article. It literally went to this article and it can no longer be found. Then literally just a couple days after he sends that email to Steve Bannon, he sends another email to someone and the name is redacted. And the URL is actually in the subject line right there. It says, gene editing babies, China. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, isn't it nice to hear things before they actually happen? So I go to that URL. And the URL for this is a New York Times article that says Chinese scientist claims to use CRISPR to make the first genetically edited babies. This is exactly what that Brian Bishops and Jeffrey Epstein said they were about to do. Researcher He Jiankui offered no evidence or data to back up his assertions. If true, some fear the feat could open the door to designer babies.
All nefarious. So let's talk about Brian Bishop, okay? In the emails from 2018 contained in the Department of Justice's Epstein document release, Brian Bishop, sometimes reported as Brian, they have it spelled two different ways, B-R-Y-A-N or B-R-I-A-N, is shown corresponding with Jeffrey Epstein about scientific funding, not the trafficking abuse. Now, Bishop is described in those emails as a self-identified transhumanist, a biotech entrepreneur who has pitched Epstein a controversial project involving designer baby research and experimental genetic engineering, basically cloning. Okay, including attempts to alter human reproductive cells and even speculative human cloning concepts and seeking funding. Now, according to one report, Bishop later stated he never accepted money from Epstein, even though Epstein engaged in discussions about backing the venture. First of all, I'm pretty sure he wanted Epstein to fund it, okay, or at least to help, because why were you going back and forth corresponding with him about it if you didn't have any interest in him investing in the project? Now, being in the Epstein files doesn't imply criminal conduct by Bishop. The DOJ's unsealed documents include many names tied to all kinds of emails, from funding proposals to simple correspondence, but inclusion does not accuse someone of wrongdoing. This is all Google. This is what they're saying. They want to remind us, okay? With that all being said, I'm sorry. Even if you didn't do anything nefarious with the children yourselves, the fact that you were a whole friend or hanging out with a confidant, someone who wined and dined with Epstein, you knew what he was doing. These people can't tell me they didn't know what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, honey. That's what they can ever convince me of. They all knew what he was doing, and they chose to hang out with him, correspond back and forth with him anyway, have dinner and dining with him anyway. Elon's a liar who lies. He says that he never was dealing with Epstein like that or whatever, pretending he wants all the information dispersed. He even posted yesterday, okay, basically he mentioned Diddy and Epstein. He said something along the lines of, in an interview he did with Tucker Carlson, he basically said that between them there's so many emails or videos or something like that, so many videos or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, and you're in emails. Okay, so who are you to talk? And why is he bringing Diddy into it? Because did they say Diddy was in the emails yet? Did they say he was in there yet? Anybody seen anything about Diddy and the Epstein files? Put it in the chat. Has anyone seen anything about Diddy and the Epstein files as of yet? Because I'm sure looking for it. Okay, now being in the Epstein files doesn't imply any criminal conduct. Okay, sure. There's no credible reporting that Bishop was involved in Epstein's trafficking crimes, nor that he was part of the abuse network. Well, he may not have been a part of it, but we know that he was up to something nefarious just from what we did read. Designer babies, cloning, science experiments, and all of that's bad enough. He didn't have to be involved in anything else, but we still know that anybody who was dealing with Jeffrey Epstein, they were definitely not trying to do anything good or beneficial, okay, for anyone other than themselves. All right. So anyway, that all been said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, was Epstein working with CIA, making designer babies with his DNA, helping start Bitcoin to fund these types of activities? Can never be too sure. Can never be too sure.
Like many billionaires, Epstein hoped to seed the human race with his own DNA. He was obsessed with himself. Jeffrey speaking to someone about Bitcoin idea. Look, DNA data storage and Bitcoin. I mean, look at this. And it is said that designer babies, surrogacy, and breeding were happening at his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, which is still up and running and active, and nobody can get inside. Epstein was also super into 23andMe, and he sent kits to all his friends, including Woody Allen and his stepdaughter/wife, Soon Yi. Emails with a doctor named Brian Bishop go out as far as talking about an agenda for designer babies, structuring, finance, privacy, project goals, feasible outcomes, a whole timeline. He was really doing this, you guys. And then there's an email between Epstein and billionaire Glenn Dubin. He says, I get a picture of you flying over Mount Fuji, and I have to find out from Pagosi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP. So where are these twin babies? And were they really test tube babies, genetically modified to be like the quote unquote perfect, healthy, genetically desired baby? This is in 2011, and he's speaking to an Amir Taki. He says, Amir, the Bitcoin idea is brilliant. Is he involved in the finding of Bitcoin? Maybe he knows about Satoshi Nakamoto. Seems like there's CIA trays everywhere. Clearly, he was working on making babies, whether it was in test tubes or with girls, women. So is the bloodline still around, continuing somewhere? Will we ever know? Jeffrey Epstein at the CIA headquarters, like many billionaires.
And I'm going to tell you two people that look exactly like Epstein. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but there's two people that look a whole lot like Epstein. And they act very weird. like kissing on each other and doing all kind of weird, sick stuff. I think there's some freaks. Okay, but you can't deny that they look just like Epstein. Hold on. Were they created by his DNA, honey? Probably not, but I find it very funny that they look so much like him and are weird as hell. Okay, please pay attention. Hold on, let me find a picture of them. Let me find a picture of them. Here we go. And you know, this whole thing about his DNA reminds me of a movie that they did called The Boys of Brazil, when they were giving that man from Germany from 1945, that dictator over there, they were giving people his DNA. Okay, in the movie, they gave people his DNA. Okay, and created about, I want to say like 13 children, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, y'all tell me if y'all think these people look like Epstein. They don't look like Epstein to you? They don't look like the Island Boys don't look like Epstein to you? I find it all interesting. Now, here is a picture. Here is a picture. Let me see what y'all are saying. One box said, I ain't never ready for you, Queen. Okay, thank you, beloved. All right. And also, thank you for your contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Vince I Am said they actually do, Queen, OMG. Yeah, they actually do. But here's another thing, too. There's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein with two boys. Now, some people think these are the Island Boys, but I don't think these are the Island Boys. I think one of them is Sasha Riley. Okay, one of those boys is Sasha Riley. That's not the Island Boys, but they look like the Island Boys, do they not? Okay, I find it all interesting. Look at Epstein's face again, and look at the Island Boys again. Yeah, they definitely look like him to me. Okay, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe a coincidence, but who knows? These people are doing too much. Now, I did look up Glenn Durbin, the billionaire that the lady spoke of in her video. Glenn Durbin is a billionaire hedge fund manager and co-founder of Highbridge Capital Management. He had close ties to convicted ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein, who was once a business partner and dated Dubin's wife, Eva Anderson Dubin, and was the godfather to their children. What? The relationship persisted even after Epstein's initial ex-trafficking conviction. Oh, yeah, he was likely involved in it, in my opinion, and his wife was too. I'm sorry, because Jeffrey Epstein dated her? Yeah, and she didn't know what he was doing? She probably was doing it with him, in my opinion. Okay, now, Epstein invested millions in Dubin's hedge fund and helped J.P. Morgan acquire a stake in the firm. Epstein dated Eva Anderson Dubin, a physician, for nearly a decade in the 1980s. How does this man become friends with you? If you dated his wife for a whole decade. Epstein was the godfather to Dubin's children, a prominent figure in the financial industry, living in Manhattan with properties in Colorado and Sweden. An American financier, Jeffrey Epstein, that's who he is, an American financier. We already know who he is. But I find that interesting, don't y'all? This is just all weird. Okay, these people are into some weird and sick stuff. That makes no sense. But let's go to this next video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. We're about to be out of here, okay, in about 5 more minutes.
News this evening, it appears as though the Department of Justice deleted a critical Epstein file today. Well, and you need to know about it. So this Epstein file was caught by the Miami Herald, Julie K. Brown, essentially is an 86-page memo that prosecutors drafted explaining why Jeffrey Epstein and 3 co-conspirators of his should be indicted for various sex trafficking related charges. This accompanied a 60-count indictment that had been drafted in the mid-2000s in the Southern District of Florida before Epstein got his sweetheart deal pleading to the prostitution-related charges. Well, there was a memo explaining why and what evidence, essentially, prosecutors had they believed would be able to secure a conviction, a guilty verdict against Epstein and these co-conspirators. That memo has been conspicuously taken down from the DOJ's website per the Herald. Ask yourselves why. I have the full memo still on my computer. So I know it. I know what's in there. And if they don't put it back up, trust and believe I'll put it out for you. But ask yourselves why they're deleting critical documents this evening. Spread the word.
Not only are they deleting critical documents, but they're redacting the names of the perpetrators and releasing information on the victims. Okay, let's not forget that. Now, here is another one. Let's go to it.
Why Trump really tried so hard to keep the Epstein files hidden. There is a new email from this document dump that really kind of gives us a picture as to why. I just want to remind everyone that in 2016, Jeffrey Epstein told his brother Mark that if everyone knew what he did about the candidates in 2016, Trump and Clinton, that they'd have to cancel the election. And we're starting to see why. This email right here, where Mark Epstein writes Jeffrey Epstein, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump, Bubba. Apparently, Bubba was their nickname for Bill Clinton. And don't miss the detail on this chain that says Epstein's with Steve Bannon. So if I'm not mistaken, this is saying Trump did the Monica Lewinsky to Clinton, and there are photos of it. It all makes sense now. And this is why Bannon is saying if they don't win in 2028, he and lots of others are going to go to jail. I mean, good God, people. No wonder FBI agents had to take breaks going through all this stuff. Oh my Lord. Let me know what you guys think about this. Comment, like.
Okay. Now we're almost done. I'm going to show you how they say that these people from a faraway land are going to be putting some sort of spyware on our iPhones. I'm going to tell you all right now, I'm going to have to get rid of all my iPhones. Okay, I have 3. I'm going to have to get rid of them if this is all true. But here's what they say. And then before I close out, I'm going to tell you what I saw in the files that got me so upset that I had to pull myself together before I did this live. Okay, we're going to talk about it.
Soon, but Apple just bought another Israeli startup to the tune of $2 billion. This company spent $2 billion buying another piece of Israeli tech when they can't even offer their retail employees good enough sick or vacation time. Or they tell their retail employees that they can't afford to hire more people because they're too busy spending billions of dollars buying Israeli tech to put in your iPhone. Just so you know, this is not the first Israeli company that Apple has bought so that they can put Israeli tech into your iPhone. Your Face ID, that was started by a company in Israel. And it's really, really funny because this company loves to talk about how they're all about making the world a better place, right? It was literally in their credo. But somehow when they post job postings, they have offices in East Jerusalem, which by international law is Palestinian land. But you know what they call East Jerusalem? Israel. So this company is massively Zionist. And for the last 2 years, I've continued to talk about how Zionist they are, and I will continue to educate people about how evil they are. But for God's sake, this company spends billions of dollars on all of this spyware, and they can't even treat their employees right. So I have a full video.
Okay, so y'all heard what he said. Now, the next thing I want to go to is this video of a man at the airport. Okay, this man's at the Atlanta airport and he's going off about these files to anybody who's listening. Okay, and people are getting annoyed with him and they're like, oh, it's too early in the morning for this. What is he doing? Oh, he's doing the same thing y'all should be doing. Okay, because if you ask me, we're not upset enough. Okay, most people are not upset enough. This man is acting normal. The people that are saying, oh, why is he doing all of this? It's too much. It's too early. They're the ones acting abnormal. Because when you hear stuff like this and see stuff like this and you find out this is what's going on, are you supposed to be quiet? Are you supposed to be normal? Are you supposed to be like, that's nasty? Or should you be going the hell off? Okay, please pay attention.
This is coming out by the government. that these people are trafficking, eating, murdering children. And if y'all think we're safe, anything in this fucking airport fucking matters. You're morally fucked up. You're morally fucked up. You're morally fucked up. That's all I got to fucking say. We don't want to hear this. I hope y'all prepared. We trying to go home. Together. You get your children together. You get everything together. What's going to happen in the United States of America? Exactly. You're going to get put on a no-comment. You will not fucking accept in this fucking country. It's a murder, the killing, and the tragedy of fucking children. I don't care what you say. White, green, yellow. The police need to hurry and zoom up on this little bike. Children.
The police need to hurry up with it. It's funny, bro. What the fuck?
Because that lady's so stupid it up too. She's sitting there laughing. What's funny? There's nothing funny about any of this as far as I'm concerned. Okay, he's crashing out. But at the end of the day, everybody, we should all be crashing the hell out. We should all be going the hell out.
Files have been released. All of y'all are acting fucking normal. Epstein files have been released. And all of y'all are acting normal. All of y'all acting normal. They can laugh, but y'all can Google it.
Okay, absolutely egregious. Now, with that all being said, I'm about to conclude this broadcast. But before I do, let me just say this. So it was something very disturbing in the files. It was absolutely so sick. It talked about girls being trafficked and then how they took their babies. But not only did they take their babies, they starved them. It said they starved the babies. I want y'all to pay attention. It said they starved these babies. And why did they starve them? Well, to make them very, very thirsty. They wanted these babies to be very hungry and very thirsty so that when they put certain things in the mouths of them, the babies would be sucking so vigorously, trying to get. What do you think they were giving these babies? It wasn't bottles. Cucumbers. Cucumbers given to babies. Instead of a bottle, instead of milk, they put cucumbers in the baby's mouths. And y'all know what cucumbers are. Y'all know what eggplants are. And they starved them. So those poor little children, this is sick. Like, this really makes me want to pass out right here and right now. It is the most sick, disgusting thing. This is so low vibrational. I really feel like I'm getting sick. Seriously. Y'all know I'm an empath, and this stuff is really taxing on my mental health. Okay? We're going to have to take a break from this stuff and talk about something else, at least for tomorrow. Okay? This is all sick. Who thinks of this? And also, let me just tell you all something. It doesn't surprise me, however, because if you all remember, hold on. I told you all years ago that the guy from Jackass, that show, had a tattoo of a baby doing just what I just told you. Doing just what I just told you. Yeah, he had a tattoo. Who gets a tattoo like that? Steve, what's his name? What's that guy's name from Jackass? Steve something. Y'all, Steve O. Steve O. Okay? Hold on. Let me see if they're going to have this still on YouTube. I mean, on Google. If you can still find anything about it. Hold on. This is interesting. Hold on, beloveds. Now, the funny thing is, I don't see not one picture I don't see any pictures of it anywhere. But trust me, he absolutely had that type of tattoo. What is this? Hold on. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. These people are all sick. Once in the chat, if you all remember, me talking about that tattoo years ago. Okay? Once in the chat, if you all remember, me talking about that tattoo years ago. Let me see what Chat GPT has to say about it. Hold on, beloveds. I want to show y'all something what Chat GPT just did. I want to show y'all what Chat GPT just did. Hold on, watch this. Y'all see that? It says stop processing, or it says stop searching. It literally stopped searching. Now, here's what I typed in. Did Steve O have a tattoo of a baby doing something lewd? It says stop searching. But guess what it said before that? But it disappeared so quick. I swear to God. It said, yes, he did have a tattoo of a baby. And it was saying what the baby was doing, but not in those words. And it disappeared, and that's what popped up. It said stopped searching. Y'all don't find that interesting? Okay, y'all don't find that interesting? They're trying to erase all of the information. Hold on, let me go back to Google and see if the same things happen. Let me see what comes up. Okay, here's what it says. It came up on Google. Let's go to it. Here it is right here. What kind of sick person would get this type of tattoo? I typed in the same thing again. Did Steve O have a tattoo of a baby doing something lewd? It says, yes, Steve O had a highly offensive and graphic tattoo that depicted a cartoonish lewd act involving an infant, which he got in 2006 to represent his decision to never have children. He has frequently described this as his most regretted tattoo. First of all, who would ever get something? And you're going to do that because you don't want to have children? That's how you let people know you don't want to have children? No. He probably said he would never have children because he wouldn't want the things that he and other people do, this is my opinion, do to children. Because he likely does these things himself. Why would you ever get such a disgusting tattoo? Like, make that make sense. Then it says the tattoo, which he got while drinking with his friends. Oh, so now we're going to put the old alcohol excuse. Blame it on the alcohol. How convenient. Said it was described as graphic, cartoon-style image of a person with an infant. After realizing how disturbing the image was, especially after seeing the horrified reactions of others, so he didn't think others were going to be horrified, Steve O immediately regretted it and covered it with a banana while filming Jackass #2. Upon returning from a trip to India, he attempted to fix it himself by drilling over the baby portion with a tattoo gun, turning it into a black blob. His friend Bam Margerer suggested turning the black blob into an ostrich. Kat Von D later helped turn the design into a tattoo of a person riding an ostrich. In 2017, Steve O burned off a significant portion of this cover-up tattoo in a stint involving rocket fuel, requiring skin grafts. Okay? Y'all hear that? It's all sick stuff. Okay? This is all just crazy. Anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, and I want you all to look at this video before I roll out of here. Look at this sweet little innocent little girl. She's so cute. Her mom has taught her how to cook, and now she can't stop. Now she just loves to cook, and that's what she wants to do, is always trying to cook something. Now, why am I telling you this? Hold on. You'll see in just a second. Also, somebody put something in the chat about the book Iceman Inheritance, telling me I should read it and see how there's cannibalism and all of that stuff. Listen, I have that book right now. I've told people about it on lives hundreds of times, I'm sure. Thank you, though, beloved. Now, watch this. Gave my kid a real cooking set, and now she won't leave the kitchen. Now, you see this beautiful little girl? I want y'all to think about how beautiful little children of different colors, I'm sure, most of them likely were, I don't know, would I say most of them were white? Because they did say that they didn't like black women, which I don't believe. Okay, at the end of the day, they wanted our stem cells. They wanted to get stuff to, to enhance themselves and also to keep them looking young. Also, I read years ago that the most wanted and sought after walnut sauce, as they call it, was to come from black children because it was the least likely to be calcified. Okay? So with that all being said, what I will say is this. Imagine that beautiful little girl and other beautiful little girls with blonde hair, blue eyes, other little girls, okay, with dark hair, okay, who look like they come from Mexico, perhaps. Just imagine all these beautiful little immigrant children who come across the southern border and disappear, the ones carried from one side of the country to the other. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of children that have come up missing in the country. Over 800,000 children come up missing per year in the United States, if memory serves me correct. Millions globally per year. Where are these children going? What's happening to them? Imagine that beautiful little girl, someone tying her hands down to a desk, taping her hands to a desk with some pervert behind her. Think about children that you know, children in your own family, your own children or grandchildren, beautiful, sweet children, innocent, who have their whole lives ahead of them. Think about all the things that we've said or that we've seen and read about in the emails and things that happen to children, just like the little children that you know, okay, just like the children in your family, like the children you see every day on a regular basis. Imagine these sick things happening. And how is everybody not in a whole uproar? How come they're not out in the streets protesting about that? That's one protest I would absolutely go to. But how come nobody's in the streets protesting about this? I'm sorry, but America just isn't mad enough. And if you ask me, the main people who should be so mad, they really aren't mad enough. Okay, and why do I say they're the main people who should be so mad? Because it looks to me like most of these kids that these things happen to may have been their kids. Okay, I do believe black kids were absolutely involved in other kids of other races, but from what we've seen, it looks like most of those kids were their kids. MAGA, y'all aren't mad. And for MAGA to say they don't care if Trump's a PDF file, so you don't care about your own kids, your grandkids, or kids that you know, your friends' kids or relatives' kids, it's all sick. With that all being said, I'm out of here. I need to go lay down. I am so serious. Okay, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. This leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got